Hi guys, my name is Zach and welcome to my channel. Amongst other things, I am a humorist. In fact, this year I went to more humour events than any reenactments or jousts. So I guess I am a humorist by dint of that. I recently went to Matt Easton's Fight Camp, organised by Matt and Lucy Easton, and I thought I'd do a video about it. One of the things that I enjoyed doing is I went to this armoured fighting workshop, and after the workshop I did have a little chat with Gavin, who was one of the instructors, so I've recorded that for you as well. Hi there guys, I'm here at Fight Camp with Gavin, and Gavin, you've just been teaching a armoured fighting class.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd ask you, what is one thing that you think would be interesting, or that you think people should know about fighting in armour?
I think if you've only ever seen armoured fighting in films, fighting in armour is a lot faster and a lot more subtle than maybe it looks in films. I think it's really important that good technique will always win against brute force.
Yeah.
And I think if you can learn 2 or 3 good techniques and apply them properly, you will win, as opposed to maybe the Hollywood myth of just bashing around.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. There were lots of ways that you could spend your money as well. Lots of nice things, both reenactment and humour, and some antiques too. So I asked Matt if he could grab one of the more interesting antiques from his table to have a little chat. Oh, we're going anyway. Hello everyone, my name is Zach and welcome to my channel.
I'm Matt Easton of Schola Gladiatoria.
Today we're at Fight Camp, which is an event that you've been hosting for quite a while now.
Gosh, yeah, I think about 2004 was the first one, so about 20 years, close enough. Yeah.
So, and it's been a long time at this venue. It's a really nice venue.
15 years at this venue.
15 years here, so pretty impressive. How is the 2024 version of Fight Camp going for you?
Yeah, it's really good. You know, last year we had a full day on the Saturday where it was complete washout downpour, which is the first time, in fairness, we've ever had that in all the years where it was that bad. But this year it's been beautiful sun.
Yeah.
No real rain to speak of. Tiny, like 2 minutes of rain earlier.
Tiny slight dusting.
While you were in armour.
While I was in armour,
which is a bit annoying because it's not good for cleaning the armour.
It needed cleaning anyway. So
cools you down.
Yeah.
And Zach's a bit annoyed because he discovered some rust on his armour that he didn't know about.
I got rust in my armour and I got splits in my hose, which is just,
there we go.
It's not what you want.
But it's also always a good day to get the armour on and spend more time in armour, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really going really good. We've got about 250 people this year.
Yeah.
44 instructors.
Wow.
Gosh, I can't even remember how many classes.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, it's great. Everyone's having fun. Today's Saturday, so there's going to be a bit of a party tonight. So you should come along if you've never been.
Brilliant. And one of the things that I've experienced at Fight Camp, which isn't the main thing that I know you for, is you have a few antiques with you from Eastern Antique Arms.
Yeah.
So this isn't your comfort sword. I've asked you to grab something from the table that might have an interesting fact or two about it. So can you tell me, what is this? And
I should first of all say it is kind of a comfort sword. Okay. I for many years when I was first doing YouTube, I would always have a sword in hand, even when it wasn't what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah.
So it is kind of, I am quite comfortable having a sword in hand. But so Zach asked me, do you have something interesting on your table to talk about? And I said, well, this is probably the most interesting sword in there. So this is, I'm not sure if this is currently on the website, but it will be soon. But this is a sword that came into my hands that is one of my stock, so rather than my personal collection. But if you've ever watched the series Sharp with Sean Bean, really the series that made him famous, then Sean Bean played this character who was raised up from as a private ranking soldier to being a commissioned officer because he saves Wellington's life. And during one of the first, in fact, the first episode, when he becomes an officer, his commanding officer dies and gives him his sword.
Okay.
Now, weirdly, that's a 1796 heavy cavalry sword.
Yeah.
Now, that's true to the books, Bernard Cornwell's books, but it's a very odd thing for an officer of infantry or rifles to be carrying. Not to say it never happened, sometimes they carried cavalry swords.
Yeah.
But this is actually way more typical for what a rifles officer would carry. So much so, it is actually a rifle officer's sword of that period. So it dates to about 1800.
Right.
So it's exactly right. For all I know, it could have been carried in the Peninsular War by Sean Bean's historical equivalent.
Amazing.
So the hilt is based on the 1796 light cavalry sabre shape. So it's inspired by a cavalry sabre, but then it's scaled down. So it's lighter, it's shorter, and it has the addition of this sidebar on here to provide a bit more hand protection. And of course the sidebar projects on the right hand side because that's the side that most of your hand is on if you're right-handed. So we know this was a right-handed officer. And the blade, you'll notice it has this flared section down here, which is inspired by Turkish swords, kilic or pala, and this is called a yelman in Turkish. And that's a false edge, but it's because it's raised up like that, it's really emulating swords that the British encountered in the Ottoman Empire, basically. So particularly in Egypt. So in the years after 1800, a lot of officers' swords, because they could get them designed however they wanted, more or less, were inspired by Turkish and North African and Middle Eastern swords because of the Egyptian campaign, which was seen as very glamorous, where the British had defeated the French, the Battle of the Nile, for example. And so they, both on the French and the British side, they emulated swords that could be found in that part of the world. So we've got some Middle Eastern or Ottoman influenced blade here. Then we've got a 1796 influenced hilt here with the addition of a side guard there, which we often find on spadroons. So it's a really interesting design of sword. And just down here, Zach, you can probably see some faint engravings down here. And I think on that side you've got GR, which stands for George Rex.
And a crown.
And a crown. And just down there is the strung bugle symbol of the light infantry or rifles. So that's how we know that was a light infantry or rifles officer's sword.
Brilliant.
So that, and you see, it's really nice and light. And
So I've often on your videos seen you talk about the patterns of sabre and things, but you're saying here that this basically breaks all of those rules.
And officers, particularly officers on campaign, so maybe when you were back in Britain on parade and that kind of stuff, you were expected to have the regulation model. But if you were campaigning in this case, could be in the Peninsula, so Spain, Portugal, could even be in France as they went towards the sort of Napoleon's defeat in France, but it could equally have been in India as well, of course, because the British Army was active in India at this time as well, and Egypt, as we've said. So it could have been carried in any of those places. Statistically, most of the British Army, I believe, at that time was in the Peninsula under Wellington. So it's very likely this was being carried by an officer of rifles or light infantry, skirmishers, under Wellington, probably in the Peninsula campaign. And it's still got the original scabbard. It's lost the top bit, but it's still got the iron fitting here, and the rest of the scabbard's leather, and often these perish because the leather rots.
And the rifles were very active in the Peninsula.
And the rifles, for anyone who doesn't know, the rifles were really, in a sense, inspired by the American War of Independence, because the American riflemen were very effective against the British Army. So one of the first things that the British did when they were assessing what had gone wrong in America was they started bringing rifles in for elite infantry. And rifles, of course, having rifling, being able to shoot further more accurately, slightly smaller caliber, so smaller balls, but they were able to shoot individual people at further away than you could reliably do with a musket.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Matt.
My pleasure.
Here's hoping the rest of the weekend goes well and we don't have any more, well, maybe a little bit more rain, but not
well,
the same number
no more
as last.
rain. We don't want any rain, but it's really hot. By UK standards, it's really hot at the moment, so Cool, thank you.
See you later, guys.
Thanks everyone for watching to the end of the video, and do check out the Patreon in the description down below. I've done a supercut of everything from Fightcamp, and it is available on the Patreon already. That includes an interview with Todd that you can find there. That will be coming out to the channel in the next week or so. But yeah, thanks everyone. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of those things, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.